Welcome to our 7th episode of Smashing the Sudoku with me, Thomas Snyder. I'm a 3-time World Sudoku Champion and 1-time World Puzzle Champion. And please do like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. We're probably reaching the bottom of our question bag. We got a really curious question today from Franz F, who asked, what's yellow and dangerous? And we asked for clarification. It turns out that didn't have the answer that the person wanted. So how many roads must a man walk down is the garbage question we have to potentially answer here. And this seems mostly harmless, but we're probably going to skip away from actually answering any question today. The answers just don't seem that relevant. That's in part because we're celebrating a milestone. We're now about 70% through our 60 intro puzzles, and just as with the initial release of 60 puzzles where we had a contest associated with them, we wanted to talk today about our 10-year anniversary contest, where we think it's about time that people might be able to get to the answer, but there have been no correct submissions yet. So we wanted to highlight that we are going to be giving out 10-year anniversary sized prizes for this contest, a $100 gift card to our GMPuzzles.com e-store, as well as what we're trying to do in this coming year is set up a new subscription method to play through our puzzles, an evolution from the blog format, at least a first initiation of what that might look like. And so the winner will get a prize package like this. The next two people to submit complete and correct submissions will get $25 gift cards with the subscription year. The remaining 7 will get a full year, and for sure if we have any other answers, we're not sure we'll get other answers besides that up through April 1st. That will be a random draw to give at least 5 other people also a subscription to gmpuzzles.com, which will have a fair number of puzzles, hundreds of puzzles, and we think will be a great service. So today we're going to talk about 2 kinds of puzzles. Tapa, which is a very, very special puzzle first developed by Serkan Yürüklü and highlighted on the site with this big block party puzzle. And then Sudo-Kurve, which is a crazy kind of grid-shaped puzzle, but a Sudoku variation that works rather well. And this one larger puzzle and this one unusual grid will be the 2 puzzles I try to remember today as I work through puzzles I haven't thought about in 10 years. So when I first wrote these was long, long ago. And we're going to start with this block party puzzle, which looks like it has a fairly compact grid. So the first thing I'm seeing as I look around this grid is just that we have all these corners to get into and get around. Like if I get in this way, I'm not getting in this way. Actually, this corner down here looks somewhat constrained because I can't get around this clue. I can only have as many as 2 things here. And actually look at this, I can only have 2 on the left side of this clue. I have to get into the right side of this clue, so I have to come down this way. So that's actually a quick start to this puzzle somehow. But I'm sure I'm not meant to start there. I'm probably meant to start looking at the blocks, so I'll do that for a bit. So we've got some singleton 1s. Those would be if we actually marked them out in these different ways, have sort of these X's around them, and the same with the lower left. I think when I first constructed this, I had a different version of this puzzle that had 1 2s as opposed to 1 1s in this lower left corner, and it was a little too hard. So we came back to this, and these orientations will show that there are a set of cells I can never take. They'll start actually placing some of these cells around. I can't actually get into these. This 1 1 right here also has some of these limitations, so I can't get into these cells at all. And that looks like that has actually a fair amount of constraints it's putting into the grid. Just as we get started, I get this start to the 5 5 clue that puts this cell opposite this 3 3 clue. The remaining 2 blocks, these all 2s and all 3s look to have actually some interesting patterns to them, and one is that just how they have to shade together. I think there are only 2 ways this 2 by 2 square can go, and one thing to first note is it can't use a corner cell. If it used the corner cell and then reached over, this now wants to be taken for this 2 clue to equal 2, but then that would equal 3 for this clue up above. So these start with all these marked off, and then it's either both left and right on the top sides, or I meant to have a different color here, on the bottom side. So it's either both in red or both in blue get shaded in for this to work. So that's how the 2s work. And the 3s will always have to take these corner positions, but then they end up working just like the 2s up above. They have to go as a block. You can't take this pattern because then you have this break that doesn't work, and so this again has to take both up above or potentially 2 down below. So we'll need to think through that as we work through this puzzle. The first thing though I'm seeing now that I actually, since I did this harder start with this 1-3 clue, is I already know that red isn't true and blue has to be true in the 3-3 space. So I will start by marking that in. That actually completes most of this 1-1-2 clue. It's completing most of this 4 clue. This 6 clue has to take these cells to work out. This 2-4 has this corner marked, so it has to take these two, and this one. But now that we have this filled in, this is mostly done. So that has to be taken. We need to get around this 1-3 clue, and I think it's going to be tricky. Well, actually, we do have some more we can do in the middle first. We can finish this 4 fully. We can't reach into this. We still can get both of these orientations for the 2-2, but this 4 now has to take these cells. That marks these off. This is now marking this opposite corner of the 3-3 clue to be taken for sure. We now are going to take one of these to complete this 1-1, but we now effectively have like 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here for all these clues. So we're getting a little bit closer on that side. This 5 clue has 6 cells remaining to it. This 4 clue has 6 cells as well, so these central positions can be taken. We can ask, do we get around this 1-1-2 clue? We still only have a 2-cell path, so we need to take as many as 3 cells to get around it. So the answer is no. So we have to get around the left side of this grid for this to work. And that means we have to actually come up this left column that marks off this cell, and now means this 1-1 clue has this and this to be taken. These have to extend out. This can't be part of the 6 clue going around, so we need this pattern that puts this in, marks this off. This 1-1 is finished. This now is getting done, so we've got the lower left working to at least stay connected. This 2-3 can't reach into this cell because of the 2x2 blocks on both sides, but looking at that, it at least needs to take these to be making a path. Can't extend any further because now that 1 is filled. We still need to take as many as 3 cells here, so that needs to be taken. This 5 clue has to take these. That's finishing this clue. It's finishing this clue. This has to take one of these 2 cells. We can mark off this. That's now leaving another kind of constrained path. We can't come through this top. This 2-2 clue basically is marking, it's 2 cells we can take, but not 3 cells we can take. So we again have to take connectivity through the left side of the grid. So that looks like it forces this 3 and leave 3 of this 2-3 right away. Puts in this 4 clue. We want to still be able to reach into this 2-3 clue, and we can't come from the right side over to this space, so we will always have to come from this side into this space, and we will have to come from the bottom into this space, and this is 2, this is 3, and this then is forced to come from below. That finishes this 4 clue. It also now means red isn't true, so blue is true around this clue. Mark these in. We have to get around the side of the grid for this to work. So a lot of this puzzle is proving to just be connectivity. 2 more cells from this, they'll have to come to the top for this to work out. Let's just mark all the clues we've now fulfilled. We've got this right side of the grid, and it can't come through the bottom, so it's got to come through the center. The center that marks this way blocks off enough of the grid, so this is the center path that's needed. And we also need to still get into the bottom of this grid somehow, and so that at least has to take this cell. We connect through this cell. The 2-3 can't only come along the bottom, so we'll want to come through this side. And this 1-4 at least takes this cell, and so we have to ask ourselves, do we take this or this? Right now, both of those still seem possible, but as we think through this orientation, we'd have to come this way, and that's not going to work with this 1-2 clue. So this is on, this is off. These come through, this is marked off. We need to get into this 1-1-2 clue from the top, from the left, and from the lower right. To get to the lower right, we have to come across. So this is going to be that 2-3 this way. This is the path from the top, and this is the one from the lower left. And we are through this challenging puzzle. So a good just connectivity theme through the grid. Maybe not as artfully made as one Circon would have made, but these were some of the first Tapa I had written. I think this was the 5th or 6th Tapa puzzle I'd made in my life. So pretty enjoyable one, I think, for how this goes. We'll now go to the Sudo-Kurve, and this is a genre we've explored a lot, but this one grid is one I had made before for a Sudoku Cup competition, and I'm going to just turn on shading for a bit. This puzzle is highly, highly constrained in about 16 cells, and that's in part because of how we have these lines that sort of both see cell here, and then when I come this way, they both see a cell here. So these cells in blue have a lot of extra constraints that mark them off. If I take first this cell in red, it's marking off all of these. So another value is going to be in these 3 cells in red, and those collectively mark off these down here. And so one of these cells is going to be this pair of the cell in red. And you can do something similar. Let me go to purple. Purple marks off these based off how the rows go. So purple is somewhere here, and collectively they mark off all these. And so effectively around the grid, you have red and purple in positions like this, and they don't have to actually be the same. So I should just actually color this one way. Let's just color them all purple, I guess. There will be a pair of 2 numbers, and there will be in these 4 positions around the grid. And we actually know at the start of this puzzle that one of those pairs of numbers is 3. So we'll have to put a 3 up here and a 3 in the lower right. That actually has to be right here, and we'll mark this way. We could quickly go through and figure out what is the remaining values. So it's not 1 or 2, it's not 7, 8, or 9. So that means it's 4, 5, or 6. How do we eliminate those? 4 is pointing right here, 6 is pointing right here, so the only value that works is 5. That means this is 5, 3, this is 5, this is 5. So very quick start you wouldn't expect to have, but it's tied to the geometry of this grid. And this I will never forget, which is also a reason, I think I might have made this comment, it's very hard to put a time difficulty on this puzzle because solvers may or may not recognize these things. There's another set of cells that works this way, which are these outer ones. I think it's these that I just have in yellow. So let's start with this one, literally the number 1. It's marking off these cells based off how the gray lines move. So another 1 is going to be here. And that means in the bottom we've marked off these, we've marked off these. And so 1 is going to be in one of these 2 positions. And the other cell that works like this, let's go to brown, is this cell. In brown, we've canceled here and here. So a brown number is going to be in one of these cells. That again marks off everything but these 2 positions. And so going around the grid, you have these, and these spots that have to also have the same number. And this is just in part because when I first made this grid style, I wanted to have all the rows be full nonettes. And so I had some doubling up of these corner boxes. You can see that this, effectively this cell is marking off 2 straight columns, and this cell is marking off 2 straight columns. That's just why these are more constrained. It's not necessary if I'd actually released, this gray line didn't have to be in this puzzle. I could have just had like these 6, but I always felt it was more elegant to have a full nonette. So what can we do in orange? Well, first let's try to figure out what are the remaining orange values. We know 1 is one of those values. The other is not 2 or 4. We can see that from the upper right where 2 and 4 both point into the space already. So we actually know quickly that this is 1 and 6, and based off the 6 over to the left, this is 1, this is 6, this is 6. I don't think I know either of those. I do know this is 6. And I think this will help us a lot. So let's just mark some other things we know as we go around the grid more Sudoku style. We've got 8s eliminating all cells but this one. We've got an 8 note we can put in here. We need to get an 8 in the top of the grid, and it's not in those cells, and it's not in this cell, so this is an 8. This has 4, 7, and 9 left to go. Looks like 4 and 9 both point to this cell, so this is a 7. That means this is 4, this is 7, that means this is 9, this is 4. Finishing this out would be 5, 8, 9. And there's no 8 in this position. Finishing out this space will be 2, 6. Finishing out this is 1, 4, 7. 4 goes to both of those spots, so this is 4. This is 1, 7. Let's see, we got this 4 placed, which now comes back across and touches to this cell. So this is 2, this is 4. This set is now completed with 7 and 9. This set is completed with 1 and 2. And this one up here is completed with 3 and 8. This bottom right box is 4, 7, and 9. The 7 comes straight across, so this is a 7 here. And then we have 4 and 9 to go. The 9 up above comes and points down to this cell, so 4 on the left, 9 on the right. Means 9 is somewhere in this column. Actually, let's go to this one. This is 4 and 6. We've got the 4 on the left, so it's now 6 up above, 4 down below. That 6 comes over here, puts in a 2, puts in a 6. Let's just fill in some more digits here. We've got 2 from below and 2 from the left, so there's a 2 in one of those cells. We have the 3 coming down here, so there's a 3 over in these cells. And the last digit in these cells is a 9. And I don't have any of those canceled yet. And then we have the 1 in this set of cells and a 7 in this set of cells. Coming across this space, we need to get a 1, 5, 6. This 5 and the 6 both come down to this cell, so this is a 1, puts in 6 and 1, puts in 5. We can mark off that one just from what we just marked in. We have 6 and 9 to go here. 6 coming this way, marks off this. This is 9, this is 6. We have 4, 7 down the bottom, but we've got 4 right up above. So this is 4, this is 7. This 7 comes up and over, 1, 7. Actually, that 9 now marks this off. And we're now in a case where I think the remaining digits, like there's not a lot of spaces for a 5. So the 5 in the center box is actually now filled. It's got to be right here. So that actually cancels the 5 from this cell, and puts in a 5 in that cell. That moves the 9 just down below. So we have the 3 with 2, 9. This is a 1, 7 cell, not yet resolved, but going to be resolved pretty quickly. This 3 coming across actually resolves this as an 8 with the 3. This 3 and that 3 and this 3 leave behind just this spot. This 8 coming over here is going to force this to be a 7, forces this to be a 1, forces this to be an 8. So this is now what looks to be a 2, 9 cell. And this is like 1, 2, 9. So I think the digit 7 is forced into this position from this long row. That 7 puts in 7, 9. That 9 comes over here and says 2 with 9. All those 9s now give this 9. 1 is not allowed here, so this is 2, this is 1, this is 1, this is 2. And we're through the second hard puzzle of the week. But again, a puzzle where some grid memory or just even this observation during the solve of these purple and orange spots will help you out. So thanks for watching this edition of Smashing the Sudoku. Please watch out for more information on the 10-year anniversary contest, and best of luck for those who try to compete. We'll see you again soon.